Now it's time for one of our favorite bits here on Rockin Robbie Live. It's time for Marvel in the 80s. And today we're talking about Spider-Man versus Wolverine, one-shot comic book from 1986, I believe. I had this and read this as a kid. When I got all my comics together, I thought I had this, but I don't anymore. So there you go. It's written by somebody named James C. Owsley. Not familiar with the writer, but Mark Bright, I am familiar. I'm pretty sure this is the guy who became known as M.D. Bright, who did Quantum and Woody. If I am wrong, someone please correct me. But it starts off with a flashback. One of my favorite things about this, and I loved it as a kid, was that you got both of the popular costumes of each character. You got black costume Spider-Man, and you got red and blue Spider-Man. You got a little bit right here, yellow and blue Wolverine, and you got brown and tan Wolverine. So anyway, it's a flashback. Wolverine is with somebody named Charlie, short for Charlemagne, and this is a mission. Charlemagne is former KGB, now freelance, like spy for hire, and we're not supposed to know that Charlie is a she, and it's definitely not led to here on the first page. Anyway, so you don't know that this is actually a woman that Wolverine's in love with, but that's the big setup. But anyway, Charlie is being set up by the KGB in this instance right here, a flashback to the past. Wolverine is there, and because Wolverine's there, they actually take these people out, and it just starts off with this. So artwork is pretty solid. It's not the best. It's just kind of generic and average for its time, but it does get the job done. And I really like the way they show the Berserker Rage there at the bottom with the magenta colors. I would have loved to have gotten a hold of this. I got to buy a new copy, I guess, to see it on the newsprint. So it has this flashback. Charlie is gone. Wolverine's like, I guess I'll never see Charlie again. That writer's Christopher Priest used to write under James C. Owsley. Really? Well, I am familiar with this writer. Holy shit. Thank you, Joe Corallo. I didn't even know that. That's really awesome. All right, so we got the Wolverine bit. Now we switch to present day, and it's black costume Spider-Man. And this is an era of Spider-Man where he is just depressed as fuck. I mean, like, more so than usual. Like, he is just down. He's talking about, like, so he winds up finding out, so somebody just starts randomly attacking people and shit. Well, I think that comes later. Oh, yeah, in this bit, he finds out that these shop owners that he knows have been gunned down. Turns out that they're actually former KGB agents. Charlie is back. There, we see her right there. She's in the middle of the page. It's like this whole bit where Spider-Man's like, oh, this beautiful woman doesn't seem to belong here. And then there's this death, this murder. And Peter starts, he pulls out his camera and takes pictures. He's like the ghoul that I am, I'm going to take the photos. No, the art is great. The art is solid and it does its thing. It's just recently I've been going through my Wolverine omnibus, and Mike Zeck, Frank Miller, Al Milgram, and the M.D. Bright. That makes a lot of sense then. If Owsley is Priest, and this is the same Bright that did Quantum Woody, they're going to work on Quantum Woody together. Holy shit. Hell yeah. That's pretty dope. Anyway, Spider-Man swinging through, doing his thing. J. Jonah Jameson's trying to give him a gig. Ned Leeds shows up. This is also the issue where Ned Leeds dies. I think for the first or second time, not really sure. And he finds out that there's this KGB operative shit, this spy stuff that's going on. And then Peter goes back. He's not dating Mary Jane at this time. They're in a strenuous part of their relationship. So he's basically friend zoned, and that's kind of what's going on here. And that's his whole, he wants to be with Mary Jane, but they're just trying to be friends and whatnot. But his spider sense goes off, and then somebody just starts picking people off on the street. Turns out it's Charlie taking out KGB people. The whole point is that all the people that set her up in that gig that we saw her with Wolverine in the opening scene, these people are now being gunned down by her because she knows that she's at the end of her life. Basically, they have found out who she is. Everybody's after her, the KGB, MI6, the CIA. She is going to get got, and now she's just taking care of business. So Spider-Man swings in, can't save anybody, and basically goes through an existential crisis over it, kisses Mary Jane, and she's like, you shouldn't have kissed me, and now he's freaking out. And Ned Leeds gets the idea put into J. Jonah Jameson's head to be sent to Europe to investigate the return of Charlemagne, who they think is a dude. We know it's a woman who actually is in love with Wolverine, and Wolverine's in love with her. So he's going to go to Germany, to West Berlin, to find out about this, and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, gets tasked with going with him. So he goes off to West Berlin, and yes, that's right, back in the day when there was a West Berlin and an East Berlin. Wolverine's already there. He's left the X-Men to go there and take care because he knows that Charlie is back, and he's starting to kind of piece together what's going on. She's kind of on this suicide mission. He's being followed by people. The people that are following him get killed by people that are following them, that are following him. So it's going through all this James Bond, like, spy type stuff, Cold War espionage, and it's pretty decent. And then one of my favorite bits in this whole thing is that Wolverine sees Peter Parker, or he just smells him, and he's like, that's Spider-Man. So this is where he finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because he just smells him, and he knows it's him, and he shows up, and he's like, look, I don't know why you're here, but you better get out. So he leads him out into the city. He's spinning around. Spider-Man doesn't have his costume. Wolverine's like, look, shit's about to go down here, and you don't want to be here. You need to leave. Peter's going to leave. He's going to go get Ned. He shows up, and Ned is dead. Ned's throat has been slit by these KGB dudes there that he was investigating. Wolverine shows up to save him, another Berserker Rage, and now we got a team up. So they're being chased through the city. Spider-Man doesn't know what he's doing. He's thinking about leaving, but the guilt, the responsibility, he is the reason. Because he left, Ned died. So now he's got to stay. So he goes to a costume shop, tries to get a costume. The only costume this guy has is a Spider-Man costume, red and blue. Despina, I love that so much. Like, I always thought that was so freaking funny when I was a kid reading this book. So he's got this costume on. He's going through the town. He's investigating, trying to figure out what's going on here. And that's what's going on. Ned is dead, my man. Strange skies over East Berlin. You're right, Mike. Thank you. We were on a break. So he's got a tracker on Wolverine. And he tracks it, and he's actually in Wolverine's in East Berlin. So Spider-Man decides that he's just going to jump over the fucking Berlin Wall. A lot of people that would read this comic today, a lot of kids wouldn't understand this. Spider-Man has no idea what he's fucking in for, because there's a minefield there. People are shooting at him. He's like, what the hell? I didn't know any of this was going to happen. But he winds up getting through, going into East Berlin. He finds Wolverine, but not really. It's just two people making whoopee because Wolverine has kind of, got him. But Wolverine's there doing his own thing, and he comes across Charlie. And this is the revelation when we find out that Charlie's actually a woman. Oh, the very woman that we saw already. Her and Wolverine have a relationship. She takes him out to a fancy dinner. And during this dinner, they realize that all these dudes this restaurant is filled with operatives from the KGB, from MI6, from CIA. Every bit of the espionage intelligence world is after her. They're going to kill her. They know that that's there, so they're trying to draw it all out. Wolverine's trying to convince her to leave with him and just kind of go off and live a life of solitude and ignore it all. Spider-Man shows up and goes, y'all, did you know that this place is filled with assassins? Wolverine's like, yeah, you dipshit, you just ruined everything. So now this really sets them off on the wrong foot. Now, if Joe is still here, maybe he will know this. He's an editor extraordinaire, and he's read a lot of this stuff. I don't know when the first time Wolverine and Spider-Man met, but it might have been Secret Wars, which would have been around this time. But this is the first time for sure that they meet with Peter Parker out of the costume. So they wind up teaming up. They go through this fight. Charlie is gone. So Wolverine puts on the brown and tan. So like I said, you get all four of the costumes, the black, the red and blue, the brown and tan, and the yellow and blue. So they team up, and they're going after all these people that Charlie's trying to kill. They're trying to find out where she is, trying to save her. She, meanwhile, is still killing everybody that's on this list. And basically, Wolverine and Spider-Man, there's some really great tension that's going between them, how different these characters are. I really like it because these characters are so familiar with each other nowadays. It's really interesting to see it in these earlier team-up type of days. But they go off. Wolverine's meditating. Spider-Man's getting restless nights of sleep. And Wolverine does find Charlie, Turns out Charlie's whole thing is this. She just wanted to kill everybody who had betrayed her in that one mission. She has now successfully done that. But she knows that she's going to be hunted down for the rest of her life, so she wants to die in the hands of her lover. Wolverine realizes that, and Wolverine pops his claws. But he misses. He says that he misses, and she's actually now still alive. Spider-Man shows up when he's trying to finish the job, and he's like, "You're fucking crazy, bruh. You're trying to kill your girlfriend?" So they wind up getting in a big fight, and it's a pretty good fight, man. They both kind of get the upper hand here and there. Peter realizes at one point, he says, "This dude will fucking kill me. Like, he's so fast, he's so ferocious, I cannot hold back." So then he just starts fucking letting out with his spider power, starts knocking the shit out of him. Wolverine gets the upper hand again. Spider-Man puts his hand around his throat, starts squeezing. Wolverine's like, "Don't even fucking kid around, kid. You are not going to kill me." Puts his claws up there. He's like threatening him. All of a sudden, these other people show up. It's the KGB. It's whoever are showing up to kill Charlie. Charlie's still over there dying in agony, and Peter's trying to fight Wolverine over it. And then Peter's like, what's going on? Senses something behind him, a threat. Punches. Bruh, it's Charlie. And he kills Charlie with Spider-Man's punch. How bold is that, y'all? So, like, Wolverine, first of all, missing with his claws, like right there, that was pretty dumb. But setting it up so that Charlie goaded Peter into killing her, that's haunting him now, right? So basically Wolverine tells the people that are after her she's dead. They leave, and now Wolverine gets them back into, he's like, "Nobody jumps over the fucking wall, you idiot." So he gets them a fake passport. They get back into West Berlin. They separate. They leave on their own. Peter is just tormented by the fact that he just killed this woman. He straight up killed this woman, y'all. Like, it was her decision and all that jazz, but he killed her. So he goes back home and calls Mary Jane, and he's like, "I could really use a friend right now." And then they embrace. And that is Spider-Man versus Wolverine. So I thought I had the original issue, so I have to get it again. There was a follow-up issue in Web of Spider-Man 29, I believe. I do have that. I found that. So I will cover that probably next week for Marvel in the 80s. But I have it here in the Wolverine Omnibus. We're making our way through. We are to here now. So the next bit will be that. But I've shown this off before. But that's the Spider-Man story right there. I like it overall. It's what I was saying earlier. I wasn't trying to say that the art was bad or the story wasn't bad. What I was trying to say was that compared to some of the other things that I've been reading, especially in this book, the Wolverine Kitty Pryde book, the Wolverine Captain America issue I had just read by Mike Zeck and Mark Grunwald, the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont Wolverine stuff, the Barry Windsor Smith, it's not the greatest, compared to that, but I do like it. It's weird to see Spider-Man in such a low point. Now, I was reading Spider-Man books at this time. That's why I still have some of those original issues, including the follow-up. So it's interesting to see it. It's interesting to go back and see how where the characters are. Joe says, Wolverine and Spider-Man met in Marvel Team Up Annual #1 back in like 76. Hell yeah. Definitely one to check out. That's an early for Wolverine. Hell yeah. But the boldness to have Spider-Man actually kill this person, I remember that being the thing in the Web of Spider-Man. If I remember correctly, I think it's like they're dealing with the death of Ned Leeds, and also the fact that Wolverine's trying to console Peter that he, his guilt over killing this fucking person. Oh yeah, the omnibus is great. We've been going through it for these Marvel in the 80s, Marvel in the 90s, things like that. But all in all, I like the story. If I had to rate it, I'd give it a 3.5. It does kind of drag out, feel a little bit long, overly verbose at times. Priest writes that way. I did not know. I should have known that because I knew that he had a pseudonym for a while. But knowing now that that's Priest and Bright, that's interesting. That's like an early team up for them. But I liked it. So I'd give it a 3.5. It just does kind of run a little bit too long. It's exercised. It's like 60 pages, and the story doesn't necessarily deserve that. Ned Leeds was killed by the Foreigner, not the KGB. that probably gets blown up later on, but in that one, you just think it's, I don't know, it's just because he's there. He's just there, like, investigating the return of Charlie, who's killing people that were in the KGB. So, but anyway, Ned leads, that's the, but it's like, not even like a big deal in the book. Like, they just go there, he's dead, and it's gone. So, it's whatever. I think there was more big of a deal when everybody thought Ned Leeds was the Hobgoblin. But anyway, I like the book. It was cool to revisit it, and I'm excited to revisit the follow-up from Web of Spider-Man. We'll be doing that next week, and that has been Marvel in the 80s.